I call Mike Sabin.
Mr Speaker, well, that assured that the Green Party poll next time round will be well under the 10%, sir. The Green Party say they don't support this bill, that they support getting smart, sir, getting smart on crime. Well, what does that actually mean? What that actually means is their co-leader getting on television and saying that encouraging families to grow cannabis and advocating the growing of cannabis is actually a legitimate and okay thing to do. That's what they think getting smart on crime is, sir. I just want to touch a little bit on those that have brought this bill to the House. Todd McClay initially, before becoming Minister, and Mark Mitchell. I just want to acknowledge the contribution of both of those members. And I also want to acknowledge, sir, the contribution of the New Zealand Police to making New Zealand the safe society that on the whole it is, sir. They are a bunch of men and women who do a very, very good job for this nation. You don't have to go too far in the world to see, sir, that they are a fine body of men and women serving the interests of this country well. So I just want to acknowledge them. Sir, 90% of organised crime in New Zealand is gang-related. 90% of organised crime. And gangs exist for one reason, well, actually a few reasons, but the core of it, sir, is to facilitate criminal activity. At the top of that list, sir, is drug dealing. And right underneath that sits prostitution, money laundering and standovers and intimidation. Often they all roll into one, sir, but that's what gangs are there for. They're not clubs, they're not groups of people who are doing any benefit to society whatsoever. They are outlaws, sir, and everything that this Parliament can do to diminish their power to do what they do to society is a positive thing. And the gang patch, their patch, and what it means is more significant to them than anything else, sometimes more significant to them, sir, than their life itself. And to earn that patch, sir, they will have to endure or inflict on society the most heinous of crimes, sir. Robbery, GHB and rape, to name but a few, sir. But if you want to get an instant, if a gang member wants to get an instant patch, sir, then a homicide. And many have committed homicide simply to get that patch, sir. And so to them, there is some badge of honour element to it. There is some badge of honour element to it, sir, because to them it means everything. And trying to take it off them, sir, is not just a case of having a sign-up. And the member, Chris Farfoy, ironically, in the constituency of Porirua, where the police recruits are trained, tells us that, oh no, well, the Porirua police station's got a sign saying no gangs, so that's okay, we don't actually need this bill. And courts have those signs as well, sir. But what do police stations and courts generally have? That's right, lots of people involved in enforcement and security. What do school grounds and pools and parks and the like have, sir? None of that. And, sir, this will give the police the opportunity to get there and to lock those gang members up, sir. If we followed Mr Farfoy's logic, I'm not sure that logic and Mr Farfoy are two things that would go happily in one sentence, but if we followed his logic, sir, then all we need to do is have signs around the place about not committing crime. No robberies here, no rapes here, no murders here. And that'll take care of it, because signs is going to take care of all the criminal activity. Sir, he also went on to say that what we really should be doing is focusing on stopping youth getting into gangs. Absolutely agree. So my question to that member and to those on the opposition benches is, why do they vote against every initiative that we're putting in place to give those young people a chance to get into work? Put aside what we're doing with the economy, but why do they vote against the welfare reforms that support 16 and 17-year-olds to have the chance, to have the skills and the wraparound support that they need to get them work ready? Why do they vote against the youth start-up wage, which will give young New Zealanders an opportunity to be employed, to help break down that barrier that young people often face? Why do they vote against the 90-day trial? They vote against every effort. They'll stand over there with their disingenuous chanting and ranting about this government needs to do this and it needs to do that, but they'll vote against us when we do try and do it, sir. And I'm saying that the members can't have it both ways. They seem to think they have, but the New Zealand public have woken up to that. And they're just wandering around in the sort of yesteryear of how the Labour Party used to operate, and they don't get it that New Zealanders have woken up to that. Sir, the member, Honourable Phil Goff, who has some considerable experience in this area, but certainly in the Parliament, he says, well, offences, it's an offence in a school pool, but it won't be an offence down at the rugby league ground. It's an offence under the bus shelter, but it won't be on the footpath beside it. Well, here's a bit of news for Mr Goff. If he wants to go reading through the Summary Offences Act and the Crimes Act, what he'll actually find is there are many offences that have location as a specific ingredient of that offence. Okay, so this is not unique legislation. I don't see him wanting to repeal all legislation that says it's an offence in a public place but not in a private place. Well, the point is that Mr Goff doesn't have a point. Mr Goff has to oppose because the Labor Party have painted themselves into a position where all they know is to oppose. Even though if you ask any New Zealander, who on earth would oppose this other than the Greens, because we expect that because the Greens are pro-criminal rights and forget about the victims that the criminals create. There's no one. Well, at least the Labor Party can be guaranteed a few votes in the 2014 election, sir, from a few gang members. Not that they tend to vote very much, but they might pick up one or two out of that. Sir, but Mr Goff also went to go on about the drivers of crime. They must address the drivers of crime. Well, that member's party had 9 years to do something about the drivers of crime that have fed the gang culture and have ensured that gangs have exploded onto the New Zealand scene in recent years, and that was methamphetamine. They sat back there and did nothing. So, this problem's all under control, nothing to see here, it'll go away. So, well, what has this government done? Just a few things, just a few headliners. The Methamphetamine Action Plan, banning precursors. We've ramped up border controls and international strategies around dealing with international transition of precursors and drugs. We've changed search and surveillance laws significantly. We've refocused the police to preventative and drivers of crime focus. We've changed bail laws, sir, and put the onus on those serious criminals to prove that they will be safe. Sir, we've got tougher sentencing laws for the most serious crime. We've introduced drug courts. We've doubled the amount of treatment in prisons. Actually, we could go on and on. And the reality is the Labor Party will stand up there and say, oh, they've got to do something about this, but there's a reason that crime is dropping, sir. There's a reason that crime is dropping. It's not some sort of global trend that's occurring. It's actually about smart, prudent policy and about a government that commits and does. Sir, there's been some... the opposition have been decidedly defensive about this, saying, oh, we're getting soft on... we're not getting soft on crime. Well, what else can it be? And the thing that I find most astounding, sir, is that here is the Labor Party, and well, as I say, we expect that from the Green Party. It's the watermelon patch way. But, sir, when we look at the Labor Party, they're opposing the GCSB legislation. All right, we're fixing up actually what was a loophole left just quietly on the side there by Helen Clark some years ago, sir. And we're actually fixing that up and putting actually tighter scrutiny and controls around this. But no one in the Labor Party would say we don't need this legislation. No, they say we need a review. Well, it's not about review, sir. So they oppose the GCSB legislation, all right, that's designed to protect us from international terrorism and those in New Zealand who are activating in that, and they also oppose legislation about the domestic terrorism. That's what gangs reap on the society. Sir, and I think that is a fairly sad indictment as to where the Labor Party has got right out of touch with New Zealand. Because, sir, the opposing those two pieces of legislation, buried deep in the hearts of New Zealanders is, what are they actually standing up for there? Because it's not for New Zealanders, sir. And will this bill make a difference? Well, damn right it'll make a difference. As a former police officer, I know how much it'll make a difference to be able to take that patch off that gang member, sir. How much it will be to be able to reduce the intimidation that gang members brought on us, because they are nothing more than a parasitical blight on New Zealand society. They are a cancer and they feed off their host, and their host is the children of New Zealand citizens. Sir, who else other than the Labor and the Green Party would actually think voting against this is a good idea? Well, they're all listed in the bill, sir. There's a whole range of gangs. No one other than those people would vote against this, sir. And to me, it's a sad indictment and a demonstration of they're out of touch. So this is a good bill. In a minute, this is a good bill. It will be effective law. The public want it. The police want it. The gangs don't. And the message from this government to the gang members, sir, is gang members, no more patches for you.
Yep, good one. The debate has now concluded, and the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Party vote. The clerk will conduct the party vote.
New Zealand.
Order.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
34 votes opposed.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 in favour.
Māori Party.
Tokoro e whakahea ana.
Mana.
1 opposed.
ACT New Zealand.
1 in favour.
Honourable Peter Dunn.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan.
1 in favour.
Any other votes?
The ayes are 69, the noes are 51. The motion is agreed to.
Prohibition of gang insignia in government premises bill, third reading.
Call on members. Order of the day number 2.
Gambling harm reduction amendment bill, committee stage.
I declare the House and Committee for